All right, as you heard earlier in a story by Natasha Piri, our colleague, some ANC members are disputing the list of 200 names up for election as National Executive Committee members. Now, the list was announced by the party's Electoral Committee Chair, Kgalema Mothlanthe, last week. And this, as the ANC, of course, as you know, is heading to its national conference next week. Let's now speak to ANC member Buda Tsotetsi, who joins us live now. Thank you so much for your time. I was listening to Natasha's piece as, some of your colleagues were outlining some of the issues that they have with this process. It seems that, when one reads your statement and listens to what is being said, processes, according to you, have been flouted. How?
Thank you so much, Bongiwe, and good evening to you and your viewers and listeners. Of course, yes, we met today and had a press conference earlier where we released a statement where we are reiterating our position with regard to the objection that we have sent to the leadership of the ANC in the form of its electoral committee led by Comrade Kgalema Mothlanthe, where we're raising an objection with the process that was flawed in our view. After he publicized the top 200 names, Comrade Kgalema, in his last press conference, he mentioned that that was the final list of 200 nominees that were actually considered on the basis of the highest number of each nominee received. And later, when he closed the press conference, he said they had also applied gender parity, hence 100 males, 100 females. And we got worried after that to say, how come during the nominations that you consider gender parity? In our understanding, the gender parity is something that gets to be considered or applied once the voting has been commenced, has been completed. During the composition of the National Executive Committee, it's when the Electoral Committee and observers from provinces and the Alliance can come to a conclusion of looking at gender parity and other demographics. But once you say you have looked at the gender parity during the nominations, when the nomination process has not yet been finalized, because we're still going to have nominations from the floor inside the conference.
Yeah.
That was an interference of the nomination processes. And what we did was to launch an objection to the Electoral Commission to say it's fine, you release the top 200, give us the raw data of nominations, of number of nominees, each one of the nominee who was nominated from each and every branch, how many each nominee did receive from the highest numbers that which each nominee could have received to the lowest, and give us the criteria formula that we have used to come to the conclusion of 200. Yes.
Pardon me for coming in there. We don't have a lot of time. Wouldn't it, though, be a good thing to apply gender parity? And I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I'm presenting another side of the argument here. Wouldn't it be a good thing, because the ANC is finding itself right now being criticized, looking at the top 6, the names that have been presented there up for election, you only have 2 female candidates that have been put there. Wouldn't it be a good thing for the ANC to prioritize gender parity?
It's a good thing. It's actually the policy of the ANC. ANC remains an organization that's engaged in a struggle to attain a non-sexist society. And one of our policies is to ensure that gender equality, women empowerment, and 50-50 gender equality applies in all forms or structures of our leadership. So it will be a good thing. But what needs to happen is that you should allow everybody to compete, the branches to express their preferences. The will of the branches should be given a priority. And then once branches have nominated all their nominees across the country, you allow, according to the guidelines, they say you will only select top 200 of the highest received nomination.
So,
and then you only allow those who have made it on the ballot to compete, and if there's less 50% of women, you've got to impose gender parity by sacrificing the lowest males that receive the votes and include those who could have not made it in the top 80, but who received the second lowest let's say 81 or 82 who are females, and then you then balance the gender to be 50-50. That's how it has been done, not the other way. Yes.
Very
but
briefly,
of Bongiwe,
Buda, very briefly, we're almost out of time. I'm actually getting a countdown here, which may see us being out of time before we get to other issues. Very briefly, the Electoral Committee says that your claims are unsubstantiated, and they say that you have a right to go to court if you must. How do you respond?
Yeah, it's an arrogance that comes from this Machila chair that I don't know. And that's not how you dismiss objections. We're asking for a raw data. What is so difficult for him and his team to give us a raw data? Instead of giving us a raw data, they told us that they were still going to screen and vet other nominees. They were still going to ask if other nominees are accepting nomination or declining. That is a process that was supposed to unfold before they released the top 200. In as far as the legal issue is concerned, that is his issue. What we know is that we have escalated this matter to the National Executive Committee of the ANC that is sitting tomorrow for the NEC to look at the matter, because we have confidence in the National Executive Committee and the internal processes of the African National Committee.
All right.
Of course, if they dismiss us, if they don't actually give us the raw data, we'll be left with no options but to consider other legal avenues if the ANC allows us to do so. In any way, the constitution of the ANC advises us that we need to exhaust internal processes of the movement before we can come to any conclusion. As for Machila, whom I'm not sure if he is vetted himself, because he has discredited this process by his arrogancy, by his disrespect, his disregard to objections. You saw how he has responded to Lindiwe Sisulu when she launched the objection. She dismissed Lindiwe Sisulu, and he is not going to do that to us. We are ready for Machila, and in fact, we are calling for the Comrade Kgalema and the ANC to rescue Machila. Machila must be removed from this process because he is bringing in credibility to the electoral committee of the ANC and the ANC as a whole.
We're out of time. I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to respond to this one very briefly, because then we'll wait to hear what the NEC says and we'll touch base with you to see then what becomes your next course of action. As you're saying, you're going to explore other legal avenues. There's been a story that has been in the public domain for quite some time, and this is the Phala Phala saga. You're an ANC member. Your view on it?
Bongiwe, I'm here representing more than 200 of people who have signed a petition with regard to the objection, and some nominees and objectors. In my view, what concerns me, it's about the ANC releasing the raw data. We are not aligned to any faction in as far as campaigns are concerned. We are not pro-Cyril Ramaphosa or anti-Cyril Ramaphosa, and I'm so sorry I declined to comment with regard to the Phala Phala issue. We will be guided by the African National Congress. The position that the ANC takes with regard to Phala Phala will guide all of us as members of the ANC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Buda. Thank you for your time. Do appreciate it. Let's speak again to see if then you do get this raw data, and if you don't get it, as you say, what happens next if you are then exploring these other legal avenues. But I do appreciate your time this evening. That was the ANC member, Buda Tsotetsi.